Morning, everybody. Welcome to Tap Talk, Season 2, Episode 3. I guess the countdown screwed up. I don't know what happened. It's something in the air. But, boy, we got a good show today. How's everybody doing today? We've had a great start already. We had our Zoom webinar. That was a disaster. I made coffee. It was cold. That was a disaster. What the hell I'm going to be doing today? But today we've got a fantastic show. From London, one of the stars of Vox Fortura and Motown, great guy, incredibly good looking, so nobody really likes him that much. Welcome to the show, Elias Hendricks. Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm looking behind you. Do you have boxing gloves hanging from that?
Oh, yeah. Those are some vintage boxing gloves. I'm not a boxer. I just kind of think they're cool. So I put them up there.
You wouldn't have a face like that if you were a boxer, I'm afraid. It wouldn't. Good to see you, Elias.
Good to see you.
On the show, a good friend of mine we've known a while. What a career. One of the best tennis players out there. Not only beat Bjorn Borg, but absolutely smashed him. Played 11 games against Jimmy Connors and won 5 of them. Went to an acting career, was in Star Trek, in Octopussy, and now has one of the most admirable foundations in the world. Welcome to the show, Vijay Amritraj. Vijay, how are you?
Terry, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. This is very exciting to be doing this wherever we are and whichever part of the world we're in. This is amazing because I've never done this before. This is fun.
Well, it's good. That's why it took us an hour to get your mic working.
Yeah, exactly.
We did get there. And I know you're in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Elias is in London. I'm in Phoenix, and we got people from all over the world watching this. So this is great. We're going to have fun. We're going to start off the show like we always do with 3 random questions. And they start like this. This one's an easy one. Hobbies in your downtime. And we seem to all have quite a bit of downtime. I'll start with Vijay. What do you like to do in your downtime, Vijay?
Well, it's usually comes down to 3 things. You know, I enjoy playing golf. I enjoy going to the movies, actually going to the cinema, okay. And I enjoy eating more of Indian food. So at the moment, 2 out of the 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, don't get me started on Indian food.
Elias must like it too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we live in Indian food all over the place. And when we go into a place, we'll look for an Indian restaurant. We went to a place in Norway called Stavanger. Okay.
Wow.
In Norway. 2 of the best Indian restaurants we've ever been to were in Stavanger, Norway.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Lovely, yeah. We could have our entire tag team, but most of them love Indian food, so we could just have a talk on Indian food.
Well, let me just add one important factor in today's environment. Apparently, Indian food or spicy Indian food actually is good to ward off the coronavirus.
Is that right?
So, yes, it's living in hot climates, eating spicy food, and apparently both of them are, in fact, good pieces of information to have just in case you're trying something for dinner. Apparently for the virus to get a hold of you, it kills it before it even gets past the throat. So I think that's something to have in mind, just to keep in mind. It could be Mexican food, it could be anything else, but something quite spicy.
I think what we'll do is open a Vindaloo breakfast restaurant.
I'm going to definitely
exactly.
A recipe.
There you go.
Elias, what about you? Hobbies and downtime?
Well, my favorite hobby, of course, is playing soccer. What we call football over here.
Yeah.
So I played Sunday League, which I can't do now. And I just play as much as I can with friends when I'm back home. So if I'm not singing, I'm probably watching or playing soccer.
But do you have a favorite football team?
Oh, yeah. You're not going to like this, though, Terry. Arsenal.
Oh.
Sorry about it.
We've had guests, 3 Arsenal fans.
Terry, who's your favorite football team then?
Manchester United.
Man U. Okay, Man U.
In fact, hold on, let me do something.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I had one of my most treasured possessions this year is Can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
yes.
By the Manchester United current team.
Wow.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. All right. Second question. Here we go. And this is going to be very interesting with you two. We're going to start with Elias. What is the most memorable moment, like single moment, of your career?
It's really tough because they're all pretty cool. I'd have to say for me, the most memorable moment for me was when I took Vox Fortura back home to Birmingham, Alabama. We did this documentary where we were kind of connecting the history of African American history to Vox Fortura's experience mixing soul and classical. So I did a concert at the Civil Rights Institute in Birmingham, Alabama. And I had all my family there with me, and I got my guys up there to sing. And I look out, and all my friends and family are there. And this is the first time and the last time since that they've got a chance to see Vox Fortura perform. So it's pretty special to take them back to Birmingham and do it at the Civil Rights Institute of all places. It was pretty special.
Did you get film of that? Did you get any footage of it?
Yeah, I've got some film that I'm gonna get and send it over to you.
Great, we'd love to see that. I think Tommy is on the Vox Fortura page because he just wrote in big caps "Manu." So thanks, Tommy.
Oh no, getting
Vijay, you've had a massive career. Pick one moment, most memorable single moment of your career.
I think there are a couple of them. The first one certainly was leading India to the final of the Davis Cup, which India had never been to the final in the Open era, which started in '68. So I led India to the final of the Davis Cup, and that was a very, very special moment for us and all of the country. Over 1 billion people, completely overwhelmed by it. And of course, that was for the team, that was for the country, and certainly at the U.S. Open, my claim to fame was at 19 years of age, beating the great Rod Laver on the center court and sort of becoming the first Indian to actually be on American television for the first time and making the front page of the New York Times the next day was kind of unique because I was 19, I was from a different part of the world. 73, India and the US, as the rest of the world, were completely different, completely a different time frame. And to be able to do it in those days when America knew nothing about India and India knew very little about the US, it was a very special moment. I didn't really understand the impact it had till I continued the entire tour and met up with people around the world telling us what an impact it had.
That's fantastic. Superb. I love it. All right. We're going to stay with you, Vijay. 3 movies. I want you to give me the top 3 movies of all time.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's like saying how long is a piece of string? I mean, well, the first one for me is actually fairly clear. It was The Sound of Music.
Oh, cool.
I probably have seen it more than 50 times. And it doesn't fail to energize, and it's a tearjerker for me even today. And Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer were just magnificent, as was the rest of the cast. But certainly that's the top choice for me. The other ones, of course, you kind of looking across all of the Bond pictures, and if you look at the various Bond pictures that we've seen over the years, and I know all of them fairly well, Goldfinger probably sticks out more than most others, with Gert Frobe playing Goldfinger and Sean Connery in his third appearance as James Bond after Dr. No One from Russia with Love. But working closely with Roger, of course, was a very special moment for me. But I think I would have to kind of go with Goldfinger. I think because the script was great, and Gert Frobe was a terrific villain in that picture. And the third one could honestly be anything. I could go from Arthur from a comedy standpoint to all the way to either an Armageddon or a Mission movies or Bourne movies or tons of them. But I'm a huge movie fanatic, so I see a lot of movies. Actually go to the cinema and see a lot of movies. Now, of course, watching it at home, but I just enjoy going to the movies.
Well, the movie theaters open on Saturday in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's good to know. Good. Those are 3 movies. I'm going to give you my movies in a second as your movie buff. But Elias, what are your 3 top movies?
It's impossible. I'm just going to name three of my favorites because I don't know if I can call them the top, but I got to say, for comedy, my favorite comedy of all time is Coming to America.
Lovely, fantastic movie. Yes,
I watch it every year, at least once or twice a year. It's amazing. Probably a movie that's it's so bad that it's good, you know, that I just can't get enough of is the movie Space Jam. I was just reminded of it recently watching the Bulls documentary on Netflix, and I was like, I've got to get back to watching that one because it's one of my favorites.
But The Last Dance, you're watching The Last Dance?
Yes, that's awesome. I'm obsessed with it. and I guess another one that I really love, mostly because, you know, life is like a box of chocolates.
Great.
I got to go with
Forrest Gump. Sure, absolutely. I love it. Great movies.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely. All right. My three. Are you ready for my three? It's easy for me. I can do 3, 2, 1 in this order. Number 3, my third is Back to the Future.
Okay. Fantastic.
Is The Shawshank Redemption, number 2.
Ooh, fantastic movie.
Ooh, yeah.
And number 1 is one you probably haven't seen, and you're going to think it's because of Manchester United, and it partially is, but it's an amazing movie, and it's simply called United. And it featured, gosh, what was his name? Scottish actor, really famous now, played Doctor Who. Can't remember his name now.
He got me.
And it's about the Munich air disaster in 1958, and it's so well made. In fact, I'm going to send you the links on Netflix to them because it's so good. So those are
wonderful. Love to see it.
Fantastic. 2 fantastic guests on here. We're going to talk about the careers, and boy, they've been wide and varied. We're going to go to London to Elias, and Elias is the star of Vox Fortura. If you haven't seen Vox Fortura sing, they are a classical crossover group, but not just for singers who look good. Check this out. This is Vox Fortura live.
You know what? I think you just booked yourself a place in the final after. If I was Simon Cowell, and in the funny way I am, I'd be making you sign a record contract right now. I wouldn't be.
To perfection. That was sensational.
Boy, where do you learn to sing like that, Elias?
Magic, absolute magic.
Yeah, yep.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Vox Fortura live. Check them out. They're stunning. They really are. They're just 4 guys, fantastic guys. And we've had them touring here in Arizona a couple of times, and of course, massively popular on the ships. But talk to us about life before Vox Fortura, Elias. How did it all start? Who do you get your looks from? Is it mom or dad that started?
Definitely get it from my mom, for sure.
Tell us how it started. When did you learn you could sing?
I mean, I never really was a big vocalist growing up. You know, I didn't really sing that much. But I was playing soccer. I was playing soccer at my school, and noticed all the cute girls going into the choir room, and decided to join choir. And it was from that point forward, I kind of started developing a love for classical music, if you can believe that. So that's really where I started with my voice teacher back home in Birmingham. And I ended up going to school for opera because I broke my leg before my recruiting trips for soccer. So I got a great scholarship to SMU, went to school for opera, then moved to New York. And when I was in New York, I started to feel like I always wanted to do this fusion project. I was a big fan of Josh Groban and Andrea Bocelli and how they did the fusion. And I always wanted to do something that combined music of my upbringing, my culture, you know, and the classical music that I love. So I, you know, just put it on the back burner because, as we all do, you know, I was a poor 20-something-year-old kid in New York, and I needed to find work as much as possible. So I did some opera, and then I got an opportunity to do Simba and the Lion King out in Hong Kong, Disneyland. So I moved to Hong Kong for a couple of years, which was amazing. And then decided to move to London. And then when I got to London, I ended up getting a role in Motown the Musical in the West End. And from that point, we had an opportunity. I was approached by some friends of mine to form a group. And when they brought the concept to me, you know, we started talking about the concept. It was exactly to a T what I had been wanting to do since I was a kid in New York, you know? And so we put this together straight away, Britain's Got Talent, semifinals, and really the rest is history. That's when we really started to make Vox Fortura our primary goal. And now we're all full-time, you know, singers with the group. And it's been great.
And it really is amazing. You know, we always talk about these 7 degrees of separation. It seems on TED Talk, we only have 2 or 3 degrees. And here we've got Vijay and Elias. And I learned off camera that you played Berry Gordy in Motown a few times. And you were good friends with Berry Gordy.
Yes, Terry, you know, I was very fortunate to have become friends with him in the 70s and 80s, and used to play. Literally, he loved his tennis, hit tennis balls with him. The loveliest man. What a great guy he was. What a great talent, and the people that he found, the people that he. And it all was very immediate. It was not like, oh, she is going to become a star. She is a star in his mind, or he is a star, and he was. He kind of taught us so much, and just talking to him over a period of time, and even a few years ago when I caught up with him and his son as well, and we had a marvelous time. And it was still the same Berry Gordy's energy and his level of optimism of everything, whether it was the music industry or anything else, was always spot on, including talking to me about tennis. And it was just wonderful to hear people like that, you know. And I always say we don't make them like that anymore, but he was just a great man, just a lovely man.
That's brilliant. Now, if we've got a photograph of Vox Fortura in white suits, so I'm going to try and get that back up on the screen, because it's one of our other degrees of separation we talk about. Vijay played at Wimbledon, Vox Fortura sung at Wimbledon last year. Is that right? Tell us about that.
We did actually 2 years running. The first time we sang at Wimbledon was for the 150th anniversary 2 years ago. That was actually at the Lawn and Tennis Club. And last year we sang for the Champions Gala, which was in town. But both were incredible. Those pictures there from the Lawn and Tennis Club, and they gave us tickets to Wimbledon, so we got a chance to see some great tennis. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, that's the one.
It's fantastic.
A tennis ball. Let me see here. They gave us these tennis balls as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You know what?
Amazing.
That's incredible. Last year was my 50th consecutive Wimbledon.
Wow.
5-0. My first year when I went there was when the following week, a couple of weeks later, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon, 1969. And last year, 2019, was my 50th consecutive year, and I didn't miss a Wimbledon for 50 years. So I've kind of been a part of it, and almost like the old furniture, you feel they're not going to throw you out because you're the old furniture. But I was very fortunate to be a part of it for a very, very long time, right from day one. So
that's excellent. I've never been to Wimbledon, actually. I would love to go. I was a big tennis fan. And I know my wife talks about before her mom passed away, she had the opportunity to take her for, I think, 3 days, see games. And it's one of the most memorable times that she had with her mother, taking her there and taking the experience. So good. Yeah, we've got a question from one of the viewers for you, Elias. Are all your family talented? Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a twin sister and I have an older sister, and they're all talented, but none of them are singers. Yeah, my family's of business people, and my family's in politics as well, but no one's in music in my immediate family. But I've got some amazing. I got some cousins that sing. I got some amazing singers in my family, just not in my immediate family.
Oh, excellent. And to touch on when we went to Manchester a couple of months ago, we saw Back to the Future, the musical with Cedric in it. And boy, that was something else. I'm going to do a whole Back to the Future show, but that's a separate issue. Vijay, what a career you've had. Don't even know where to start. We'd be here 3 hours. So it's amazing. Of course, I've known you for a while, but I started doing a little bit of YouTube over the last couple of days, saying, okay, so I know that find out. So the first thing I came across in YouTube when I put in Vijay Amritraj tennis was Vijay Amritraj smashes Bjorn Borg.
Okay. Yes.
Big win. It was an unexpected win, though.
Yes, whenever you beat Borg, it's an unexpected win. But when you go in to play these guys, whether it was Levin at the US Open, Borg the following year, I think the one on YouTube you might have caught on was the one when I beat him at the US Open. But a few years later, he beat me at Wimbledon in sort of exactly the similar scenario. Both matches were 5 sets. Both matches were live on television. Both matches were in prime time. It was one of those things where we were kind of called the ABC of tennis, which was myself at Amritraj, Borg at B, and Connors at 3 at number C. So we were the ones who kind of fighting one another for prominence at the time. So any match that we played against each other was a big match, and all of them generally went the distance. It's like Ali going 15 rounds with someone. So it was one of those kinds of matches, and it was a very special match because both of us were expected to be the future of the game. And so, obviously Bjorn had an incredible personality, quiet. I've never seen anyone attract more people except the Beatles than Bjorn Borg. He was one of those guys at Wimbledon every year, the teeny boppers and all of them just hanging on to him for dear life. And it really was a comparison to the Beatles, and ABBA was getting in there, but ABBA wasn't quite there yet. And and ABBA is one of my favorite groups. I think I've said this to you before. But Bjorn was very, very special. Yes,
such a magical time. That's when I really started falling in love with tennis, with McEnroe, Connors, and all those people around there. But for anybody who might be younger and doesn't remember Vijay's serve and volley game, just check this little video out.
Amritraj leads 2-1 in the final set.
Amritraj slipped down. I think he was out of your picture, but he slipped, lost his footing. And Borg saw him down and just easily put it away.
40 love for Borg in the far court.
Ball.
Boy, he's really ripping every first serve now.
Hey, that's
40-15.
Chased him out of the
15
court.
love.
Good first serve.
I don't think Borgs has sensed yet in this set that Amritraj has changed his pattern of serving. He's going more to the one-hander than he did in the first 4 sets.
There it is again.
Ball.
Just, but it wasn't
Man.
ball.
The Amritraj fans didn't like that call. Well out.
30 love.
If this is a second-round match, what's it going to be like later in the tournament? Right on the line.
Game Amritraj.
He's now leads 3-2 in this 5th and final set.
Okay, so the things that stick out to me there, Vijay, one, the serve and volley game was amazing.
Yes.
But did anybody else notice how small those tennis heads on the racket were?
That's why I always said, listen, anybody can play with a big racket. Playing with a small racket was the hard part, finding the center spot, the sweet spot on it. But it's incredible what we had gotten used to, and the serve and volley was the big game on grass in those days. It's not the case today, obviously, because the grass has changed, the balls have changed, equipment has changed, all of it has changed to a great extent. But I remember that match very, very clearly, like it was yesterday. In this, especially that was 74, believe it or not, that match in the 4th round or something. And it was special because Borg was special, and I think that made it a lot more special from our perspective and also from India's perspective of beating him at the US Open.
Did you have a favorite opponent that you look forward to playing for any particular?
Every opponent was a favorite of mine as long as I could beat him.
Yeah.
But it's always these key matches like against Jimmy and Bjorn and McEnroe and these guys. When you had those moments, I beat McEnroe in Cincinnati, and it was a very, very special moment. Same thing in Toronto when I beat him. So those kinds of moments are very special because people, especially from our part of the world, something that they will retain all through their lifetime. To watch an Indian do that.
It's amazing. We could spend all day talking about tennis, and we have done over many coffees. So tennis is over. We move into acting, and acting was. How did that come about? Is that something you aspired to or studied prior?
No, listen, I always enjoyed the film and television and movies and all of that. But playing at Wimbledon one year when I was playing, and Cubby Broccoli, producer of the Bond movies, he came in with his daughter to watch matches, and they loved tennis, and they'd come and watch Wimbledon annually, and they saw me playing, and he sent his daughter down to ask me if I would have tea with him afterwards. And I said, sure, to come and have tea with you. And we sat down, we talked for a while, and he said, listen, we're doing this next picture, and there's a role for this Indian person in the picture who was Bond's friend, and we've looked at over 500 actors for the role, and we haven't come up with the right person. Would you consider doing a screen test? And so, being the funny guy that I said to myself, yeah, I'll do a screen test. I did it because I thought, who could say they worked at Pinewood in the morning and played at Wimbledon in the afternoon? So I said, okay, I'll go do it. And then a few days later, they called me back and said, listen, we'd like to sign you for 14 weeks. And that's how it came about. It was amazing. But they also allowed me to go off and play 3 tournaments, come back and work 3 weeks on the picture, go off and play 2 tournaments and come back and do 2 weeks. And that's when I became very, very good friends with the legendary Roger Moore.
Yeah, no,
lovely man.
We have so many stories about him and sadly missed. Just check this out. This is Vijay in Octopussy.
In case you don't know Wimbledon from Forest Hills, Roger's actor chum is the famous Indian Davis Cup tennis player Vijay Amritraj, making his big screen acting debut.
Lights up for that. Not playing over me sport.
Ah, Q. How are you? Most unhappy 007, thanks to you. How can I be expected to maintain the quality of my work? Sent out here at a moment's notice? No proper facilities?
Yes, well, you wouldn't have a smaller piece of thread than that, would you, Kerr? Somebody seems to have stuck a knife in my wallet.
Oh, they missed you. What a pity.
Having problems keeping it up, Q?
Experimental model. Twist the top. And a highly concentrated mixture of nitric and hydrochloric acid. Dissolves all metals.
Wonderful for poison pen letters.
Pay attention, 007.
What's that?
Oh, that's the latest liquid crystal TV.
Very handy. Perfect image.
It's the best we can do, Commander.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, go on, get along. I've got my work to do.
I'll give you a hand, Q.
Thank you.
Don't forget this.
Thank you, Vijay.
Don't let him teach you any of his bad habits.
Oh, we're going to have a recorder handy right now so you can replicate that for us.
They asked me before that scene, they asked me if I've ever worked with a snake before. Yeah. And I said, only on the tennis court. I said, I've played McEnroe a few times. But I said, listen, don't show me the snake till the time I have to work with it. That's exactly what happened. I asked the snake charmer, I said to him, I suppose you've taken out all the poison from this cobra. And he said, no, sir, we have to leave a little bit in there. Otherwise, they don't survive. So if he strikes you, it wouldn't be good because we don't have the anti-venom to give you right away. So I said, thanks a lot. Let me get this over with one take.
Yeah, that makes me want to go down the James Bond wormhole tonight. We'll put Octopussy on, and then we'll go to Goldfinger and Live and Let Die, and we'll be here all night.
There we go.
That's great stuff. Just off camera there, you were talking about what a wonderful and funny man Roger Moore was.
He really was a very, very funny man. He should have been doing comedy. And I've had the good fortune, believe it or not, Terry, and this is a good trivia question, actually. I've had an opportunity to actually do something of importance with all the 6 guys who played Bond, believe it or not. I used to play charity events with Sean Connery way back when. George Lazenby, who did On Her Majesty's Secret Service, came and played in my charity foundation golf tournament with us, which was wonderful. And Timothy and I have done things for the British consulate in Los Angeles. Pierce and I are good friends. We still play golf as of now. And interestingly, Daniel and I have been on the launch of several products together. So, it gave me an opportunity to spend time with the various guys who played Bond. And Pierce is very particular in saying, more men have walked on the moon than have played James Bond.
And if you get the next Bond role, Elias, that will be a 7th for VJ.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
You never know. Before we move on, I do want to talk about VJ when you and I were last having coffee here in Phoenix to talk about your foundation, which is, it really is, admirable, stunning on every level. But tell us a little bit about it, because I've got your website up here, and we've always been, it's enormous. Tell us about
it. Thank you. I served the United Nations for nearly 7 years as a messenger of peace. I was appointed by the late, great Secretary General Kofi Annan, and I got a chance to work alongside Muhammad Ali, Luciano Pavarotti, Elie Wiesel, the Nobel laureate, Michael Douglas, the actor, and it gave me a chance to see the other side of the coin, pretty much. And when my term finished with the UN, when the Secretary General retired, I went on to start my foundation in 2006, basically to see if there was a possibility to help some of the most needy causes in India. And it started small, and it has been a tremendous success. We've been very fortunate with the support we have received all across Indian diaspora, across the world. And at the end of the day, we're now able to help support about 15 causes on the ground in India in 10 states. And 95% of them are women and children-related issues, smallest of the small ones, but they can't raise money or raise awareness for their causes. And 5% of them are mentally challenged individuals and old age homes. So we try to make a difference on the ground.
That's excellent. We're going to put the link. We already have put the link there on the feed. Go and click on it. It's vijayamritrajfoundation.org. And I knew about it, obviously, but I refreshed my memory the last couple of days and remembered that one of the heads of your advisory board was the late President George Bush Sr., right?
Yes, H.W. Bush was the first person I went to be chairman of my advisory board, and he was an amazing supporter of the foundation. Great guy, loved his tennis, loved his golf, played badly at both, but he was fantastic on just supporting my cause. And I was very fortunate to have him all through the end of his ex-presidency until he passed away. So he was very, very special to me. The family was very special to me. And we've had some great events. The last two events, believe it or not, have been at Las Vegas. And we had a marvelous singer, Daniel Emmett, who performed at Vegas, sort of like a Josh Groban. We had an Indian performer do their stuff. We had a magician perform. And then we took everyone, the entire 400 people, we took them the first year to Rod Stewart's concert, and the second day, and then the second year we did it in Vegas. We took them to the Jerry Seinfeld concert. So, it was a great package for them to come and spend 3 days in Vegas.
Good for you. Let's see if we can get Vox Fortura involved in this. I think it'd be great, Elias.
It'd be fantastic.
I'd love it. I got to say, Vijay, you're probably one of the most interesting people I've ever had the privilege of talking to. So
thank you.
Elias, what you have to do is you have to get Vijay in Phoenix at a coffee shop for a 45-minute meeting. 2.5 hours later, coffee's everything what you planned on meeting about.
That's funny.
It is great spending time with you. We're going to go to the part of the show we call Where in the World is Terry?
Where in the world is Terry? Where in the world is Terry?
All right, this one's going to be fun. This is where I change my virtual background and I put myself somewhere else. It could be there, but it's not going to be there.
Okay.
Today, I am putting myself in a James Bond movie.
Ooh, okay.
You're going to tell me what movie I'm in. I am going to start with Elias. So this is just for Elias. If Elias sucks at this, then you jump in, Vijay, okay? So, okay. Elias, I want you to tell me which James Bond movie I am in. Let's see if our viewers can...
Okay. Elias, you got it?
Come on.
I do not.
You want to pass it over?
This is Goldeneye.
It's the most spectacular scene, the opening scene in Skyfall.
Skyfall. Oh, okay.
It was brilliant. It ends up on the train sequence on top of the train. And where that famous Judi Dench moment where she says, "Take the shot. Take the bloody shot."
Absolutely. Elias, I spent about 15 minutes finding the easiest one.
The funny thing is that I didn't even see Daniel Craig for the first 30 seconds of it. Now I feel foolish for saying.
It's brilliant.
Well, let's see how it takes Vijay to get this. I didn't realize you were a James Bond aficionado. So
it's a great scene. You know where they shot that, right? They shot it in Istanbul.
Did they really?
Yeah, they tried to shoot it in between Bombay and Goa. Couldn't quite get the permissions they wanted, and eventually ended up doing this over the bazaar in Istanbul. An amazing scene. Yeah.
Any Liverpool fan loves me talking about Istanbul because of their famous European Cup finals thing. But that's just for in Liverpool there. This is for which movie am I in?
I'm
deliberately blocking it.
Oh, this is Roger Moore in Live and Let Die.
Look at that. Did you have that one, Elias?
Nope. Not at all.
Wait for him to come up with the aftershave on this one.
That's right.
Watch this. There you go.
There it is.
It's Live and Let Die. As the snake comes down the back of the bathtub, moves the mirror. Yeah, there you go. And then, of course, the thing comes down, gets on the little rug in the... There comes Whisper as he walks in. And there we have him screening, and he says he realizes who it is. He goes back, he pays off Whisper, gives him his tip. There we go. Washes off his face, gets in there. And he asks, Whisper says to him, so would you like me to put it? Well, put it right there. And there we go. Would you like me to open it, sir? What is it? There we go. And he gives him a... Daisy comes back. He was like, no, I can manage. Gives him his tip. He goes back in, picks up the aftershave. He got a cigar in his hand. And there we go. He puts it, and he sees it. Comes off into the thing. There we go.
One for you, Elias. Which movie am I in?
Oh, Elias, come on.
This Octopussy?
Yes. Oh, well done.
I was looking for you. I was like, thank the Lord. Okay, I got one.
Well done. Brilliant.
What a sense of accomplishment I feel.
Beautiful. Good to see.
The question I ask on every TED Talk, I love this question. I'm really interested to see what it is now. The question's simple. If you could spend the next 60 minutes with any two people, dead or alive, in any one place in the world, who would you like to spend the next hour with? Where would you go? What would you talk about? I'm going to start with Vijay.
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, honestly, it's an easy question to answer for me because the two people that I have followed, read their books, looked at history and all of it. One is, in no particular order, one is the legendary Mahatma Gandhi. And if I could go back in time and have met him and met him in his at his home, actually, where eventually he passed away, would have been magic. My first son Prakash was actually born on his birthday, October 2nd, and it's always a national holiday in India. So I always say my son's birthday is a national holiday in India. But Mahatma Gandhi would have given me a magnificent perspective as to what Freedom at Midnight truly was, written by Dominique Lapierre, the great French author who wrote about India's independence from Great Britain and his movement of nonviolence. It was just the most incredible thing. Even talking about it gives me goosebumps. Yeah, it's quite very, very special. The second person, of course, for me again, every time I listen to a speech on the public holiday in the United States, and that's Martin Luther King, and he had Gandhi as one of his mentors, and MLK died in '68, shot in Memphis. I watch over it at MLK's birthday every single time. And interestingly, 50 years in 2018 was coming up, and in 2017, our foundation, when we had our annual event at the Pierre Hotel in New York in the ballroom, in front of 500 black-tie guests, the person we honored was the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., and we ended up bringing in MLK's son to the event to give him the award to be retained at the MLK Institute in Atlanta. So it was a very, very special moment for me to be able to make that presentation to Martin Luther King's son in honor of his great dad.
That's great. I have to say, you're an amazing person. Vijay. Aside from all the career stuff that we talked about, the stuff you do for others is amazing. It really is. It's stunning.
Thank you.
No one noticed. Elias, 2 people, 1 place, anywhere in the world.
Well, let's do one dead, one alive. The first one, I would have to say it would be Paul Robeson. Mostly because, I mean, he's a humanitarian, social activist, and an amazing singer. So we would just have so much to talk about. And I have so many questions about, the politics surrounding his entry into opera and into musical theater and some of the decisions that he made in his career and some of the philanthropic things he did as well. And also, I would have to say Barack Obama as well. And I would like to meet both of those people in Ghana, in Accra. And I would love to sit in some cafe there, in the market or something like that, and just talk for hours. That would be amazing.
I bet. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's stunning. That's great. 2 great answers. This has been a great show. Thank you both for coming on it. It's normally a 30, 35-minute show, and we're already screaming past 50. But
sorry about that, Terry.
Or any time restrictions, I'd stay here all day. So many fantastic stories. Thank you so much, both of you. It's been great. We've got great guests coming on for the rest of the season. This is season 2. Tomorrow, we've got John McNally from The Searchers, the famous 60s band, and you should hear his stories about the Beatles. They're pretty spectacular. And then a man who was at the forefront and the very core of the beginning of rock and roll in the United States, Brian Byrne, Mr. Rock and Roll, who was on K-Earth. He was the voice of K-Earth in LA. And he's got some incredible stories, including being the guy that sat next to Buddy Holly on the bus as we were going to the concert right before the plane crash. So some stories tomorrow. But Elias, thank you so much for being on the show. Enjoy.
Oh, anytime, Terry.
And get ready for next year when Man United pick that title back up.
Oh, no. Yeah, definitely time to go now.
Great catching up with you, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Terry, thanks very much for having me. Elias, wonderful to meet you on Zoom. I certainly look forward to seeing you in London next time I'm there.
Yeah, Vijay, it'd be great. It'd be an absolute honor to speak with you again at some other time for sure.
Look forward to it. Thank you. Terry, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on another edition of TED Talk. Take care.